collective. Thank you for being here. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Before wasting any more time, you have a group of people that wanted to sacrifice you. Yeah, this is a group of people that actually wanted to scapegoat you. This is a group of people that made a smear campaign on you. Right now, this group of people is very much in regret. These are people who are more like seeing whatever they've done backfiring. Whatever smear campaign they've done is backfiring. These are people who see you know without knowing. How do you know? They know you know without knowing. How you do you know? These are people who are seeing you protecting yourself from them. These are people who are seeing you are now defending yourself from them. These are people who are going through judgment right now. These are people who are going through judgment right now. These are people who are seeing you being uplifted. These are people who are seeing you are being awakened. These are people who are seeing your upheaval. Yeah, these are people who just can't stop watching you. They are way too obsessed with your energy. These are people who are feeling very much entitled on your energy. These people, they are talking about you amongst each other. They just can't stop talking about you. Yeah, these are people who may have played on your innocence. These people, yeah, they may have thought that you are naive. You may be somebody who's looking very much youthful. These are people who actually undermined your inner strength, your quiet strength. These are people who didn't actually thought that you have it in you. These are people who didn't thought that you have it in you. You could be this disciplined. Yeah, right now these people, yeah, that wanted to sacrifice you, that's more like scapegoated you. That's smeared your name. They are seeing you are very much defensive. Yeah, these are people who are more like seeing things moving for these are people who wanted you to go through delays. These are people who wanted you to go through uh, setbacks. These are people who actually didn't want any growth to happen for you. Yeah, right now they are fixated and watching you succeed. They are watching you being victorious in whatever it is that you are doing. Yeah, these are people who are so amazed at your willpower. They weren't expecting for you to be this alchemist. Right now these are people are going through judgment. I feel you are giving these people a spiritual awakening. You being your existence is more like giving these people a spiritual awakening. They are getting a spiritual aha moment. They are going through judgment. Yeah, you are being uplifted by the divine. Yeah, right now these are people who are very much obsessed with your energy. Like literally they can't stop talking about you amongst each other. These are people who just can't stop talking about you, collective. Yeah, they just can't stop talking about you and your shine. They can't stop talking about you and how much you are empowering others. They can't stop talking about you and how much you are at peace. They can't stop talking about you and how much you are healing yourself and healing others. It's more like you are a learner and a teacher at the same time. They can't stop talking about how much you are shining. These are people who are not expecting for you to actually heal your traumas. Yeah, these people is more like they are seeing things happening in real time. They are seeing your awakening happening in real time. They are witnessing your awakening happening in real time. They just can't stop watching you. They are addicted to your energy. Like for real, for real. These are people who are very much going through a spiritual awakening. Yeah, you know what, collective, right now these are people who are seeing you being structured. Yeah, you may be more focused on your pentacles right now. You may be more focused on your material wealth right now. You may be more focused on your security right now, but then you come off as very much dependable. This is something these people were not expecting from you, though they may know that you are somebody who's very much dependable. But then I feel these are people who may have been downplaying you. Yeah, they weren't expecting for you to have this willpower. These are people who feel like you have a lot of sacred knowledge. These are people who feel like you trust yourself. These are people who feel like looks can be deceiving when it comes to you. These are people who feels like looks can be deceiving. I feel like these are people who may have learned like who may have learned not to judge a book by its cover. Yeah, these are people who sees you as somebody who knows a lot of hidden truths. Yeah, these are people who are very, very much fixated on you. Like literally, they are fixated on you. You know, they are watching your growth. They are watching you being victorious. They are watching you being focused in whatever it is that you are building. You know, these are people who are seeing you as the truth. You know, these are people who are seeing you as the truth. It's more like you bring in a clarity, you bring in awareness to situations. Yeah, these are people who are more like feeling very much left out in the cold, you know. These are people who feel like very much left out in the cold because they now getting to realize and see that you are somebody who's more like bringing in clarity and awareness into situation. You know, it's more like you are a catalyst, you know, pretty much you are God sent. Yeah, these are people who sacrificed you and scapegoated you. These are people who are more like smeared your name. Right now they are seeing that you are a blessing in disguise. It's more like you were hidden in plain sight. You know, these are people who are seeing that you were hidden in plain sight. You know, yeah, right now these people is more like they want another chance with you. You know, these are people who may be feeling like they want another chance with you. You know, yeah, these are people who sees you may have gave yourself another chance. These are people who are more like seeing you are bringing in balance to your situation. Yeah, pretty much. If they don't want another chance with you, it's more like they are watching you bring in balance to your situation. You know, these are people who are seeing you have values. You know, these are people who are seeing that you are somebody who's you are somebody who you don't fall for anything. You know, you love yourself. These are people who are seeing that you are bringing in unexpected changes. You know, big transformations into your life, into your situations. These are people who are seeing you uh, pretty much dismantling old administrations, you know, old beliefs. You know, these are people who are seeing you doing something that is more like God divinely orchestrated. You pretty much, this is divinely orchestrated, you know, because tower movements are divinely orchestrated. You are doing something that you were never expecting from you. Yeah, these are people who are seeing you know how to blend the old and the new. You know how to moderate things. You know how to change and put perspectives into place. These are people who sees you as somebody of faith. You know how to bring balance into situations, and you are very much patient with yourself and everyone else. These are people who are seeing that about you. You are very much patient with yourself and others, you know. Yeah, you are not somebody who's more like uh emotionally unstable. You are not all over the place, you know. Yeah, these are people who feel like you are no longer looking back. You know, with death being here, it's more like you've transitioned. You no longer resonate with them. Yeah, I feel, and it makes them feel very much uncomfortable. Yeah, with you, maybe like having a different perspective, not seeing things the same way as them. It's more like right now they are feeling very much uncomfortable. You know, yeah, they are feeling uncomfortable because it's more like they bullied you at first. Now you don't trust them. You know, now it's more like you're not supposed to act up as up. Yeah, I feel you are in your own right. You are in your own right to bring death to a situation that is actually not watering you. That is actually not whereby people are not having good intentions for you. You are in your own right, you know. Yeah, I feel collective. You are somebody who you know how to research, you know how to find new ideas, you know how to find new ideas to get yourself out of situations. Yeah, I feel these are people who are more like spying on you right now. Right now, they are spying on you. You know, yeah, they may have wanted to attack your beliefs. They may have I wanted to uh, wanted you to be discouraged. You know, wanted to attack your beliefs and be discouraged. These are people who may have been petty on with you. You know, yeah. Right now, it's more like they see you are making changes for yourself. You know, you have these new ideas. You bring big transformations. You know, I feel These are people who are seeing you bringing in balance. You are working on your balance. Yeah, continue rebuilding yourself. Continue rebuilding yourself. I feel it's obvious. It goes without saying. Your main focus is rebuilding yourself. I feel it more like you are somebody who's more like a hard worker. You are somebody who's very much self-made. Yeah, whoever I'm talking to, I feel like you've withdrawn yourself from situations or things that actually are training you. You've withdrawn yourself, and right now you are more focused on things that you love. Right now it's more like you may be in your new beginning. You may be feeling very much refreshed. Yeah, feel you come off as very much practical. Continue being grounded, you know, being in your element. I feel you are very much connected with nature. Yeah, you come off as very much practical. You have these longest boundaries. You may be strategizing right now and finding ways on putting systems in place on how to move forward. Yeah, you want on how to move forward and balance the scales for yourself. Yeah. It seems like you are daring, you are taking risks, you are more focused, and you have this fearless spirit. Continue having this free spirited mindset. Mm. The world is your oyster. The world is your oyster. You can do whatever pretty much you want. Once you put your mind on it, just know it's possible. You can do it. Yeah, work on bringing balance. Work on bringing balance to your situation. You have a lot of people talking about you amongst each other. Some they may even want to come forward, but then I feel it's all about you and your psychic abilities. People are talking about how much you know how to manifest. Yeah, you have a lot of people talking about that. Oh, yeah, I feel that's more like these people that are so way too obsessed. They are obsessed about you and your new beginning. I feel these are people who are watching you. They are watching you, bringing in fairness, you know, to your situation. You are working on bringing in fairness to your situation right now. This group is watching you and they feel regret that they are on the outside. I feel these are people who actually wanted to hide their toxicity by scapegoating you. These are people who wanted to hide their toxicity by scapegoating you. Right now they are watching you with envy. Right now these people, they are so angry. Right now they are very much angry, watching you with envy. It's because right now it's more like you are not allowing your emotions to be involved. You are ignoring them. It's more like you are starving the parasites, and they're very much angry. They don't know how to control their temper right now. Yeah, these are people who are more like watching you becoming an inspiration, that watching you have igniting this creative spark that you have within. These are people who are watching you move with your wild imagination. Yeah, they didn't expect this from you know how to create beautiful things for yourself. You know how to create beautiful life for yourself. Yeah, I feel whoever I'm talking to, you are done pleasing anyone. These are people who are seeing that you are done pleasing anyone, because I feel you got to realize all have a price. Whether you do good or you do bad, people are still gonna complain, compete. They still gonna want to drag you into their misery. I feel right now it's more like you are done pleasing anyone. It's more like you are more focused on yourself. Yeah, you are done repeating cycles with people who don't want to grow. You are done repeating cycles with people who don't want to reflect. Yeah, and they are so angry and envious at you right now. They are very much angry and envious at you right now, and you're like, this is nonsense. yeah, this is more like nonsense, because it's more like they don't even speak their mind, they don't speak their thoughts, they are just wanting to gaslight you, they are just wanting to have this animosity, they just want to act out of resentment. These are people who don't even know how to express their emotions, they don't know how to articulate how they feel. I feel you are more like, this is nonsense, I'm not gonna entertain this anymore with this being here. Yeah, right now they are angry, and I feel you may be feeling like this is so played out, yeah, right now there's no need for you to fear anything collective. Yeah, as far as this group is concerned, just remember how powerful you are. Focus on yourself and do what you need to do, what you have to do. You didn't everything though that's happening in your life right now, I feel this is something that may have been working on for quite some time. Things didn't just change out of the blue in one night. So right now, yeah, just allow yourself to shine. Just allow yourself to be yourself. Yeah, just show the world the real you. You will make it through this. If you are scared and worried what's gonna happen, just shine and show the world the real you. You will make it through this. Yeah, that's the vibes. Let's see a few more and close it. About this group that wanted to sacrifice you and scapegoat you. This is a group that wanted to hide their toxicity. These are group that wanted to hide their 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 nonsense, their toxic ways. Yeah, right now this group, I feel there may be a distance between you and them. Like, this is a group that you may be walking away from, or there may be a distance between the two of you, with travel being here. Yeah, there may be a distance. I feel these are people who are like, yeah, these are people whom you had pure intentions for. you know these are people whom you may have felt like they are great vibes. These are people who may have felt like you may have felt like there are great vibes between you and them. Yeah, these are people who are talking nonsense about you behind the back. These are people who are telling messy stories of you. Yeah, right now these people, they are very much haunted by the flashbacks. These are people who are very much haunted by the side effects of whatever they've done. Yeah, these are people who are seeing that you are very much in unfazed. You are very much unfazed, you are minding your business. Yeah, right now these are people who are going through bad karma. These are people who are more like seeing you becoming what they didn't want you to become. Yeah, these are people who are watching uh, things happening for you in real time. Yeah, they are seeing watching you shine. And I feel these people, your light is triggering their demons. These are people who just can't stand the fact that you are unapologetically yourself. These are people who sees you radiating in truth. Yeah, you know what? These are people who are way too superficial. These are people who are more like consumers. These are people who they can be inhumane, because these are people who are more like they love to judge others. These are people who think that they are bigger than the program. These are people who feel like they are handlers. These are people who feel like they are gatekeepers. These are people who are more like spiritually bankrupt. Yeah, these are people who are more like people pleasers. Yeah, these are people who are more like yeah, these are people who are more like mm, they people pleasers, because they are always worried about being seen a certain way. These are people who love to control power. Yeah, I feel you may have been threatening their power games. Yeah, these are people whom you may have been threatening their power games. Yeah, right now these are people who are watching you are too busy winning. These are people who actually tainted your reputation. Yeah, they spoke a lot of rubbish on your name. They spoke a lot of bad things on you. You know, these are people who are now like, you may be giving them silent treatment, they may be giving you silent treatment, but then right now you are not on talking, or you are not talking, you may be avoiding each other. You know, you may be avoiding them, they may be avoiding you right now. Yeah, these are people who are watching you, you know. They are watching you, not limiting yourself. These are people who are watching you, avoiding being stagnant. Yeah, yeah. Let's leave it like, let's leave it right there. Let's see one more from here. Yeah, these are people who wanted to steal your joy. These are people who wanted to steal your joy, you know? Like literally, exactly. This is a group of people. This may even be a family, a group of a family people, you know, family members, you know. But then anyway, this is a group of people. I cannot make this up. This is a group of people that actually wanted to scapegoat you, that wanted to cancel you. Yeah, something about a house, you know. You know, these are people who, this is a group setting, whether it's a family or group of people. These are maybe different dynamics of groups, but then these are a group of people who wanted you in poverty. You know, these are people, group of people who may have made you feel left out in the cold. These are people who may have wanted to scapegoat you or outcasted you. Yeah. Anyway, I feel you may know which group of people are these. You know, this group of people.